argues that militant anti-fascism is a reasonable, historically informed response to the fascist threat that persisted after 1945, and that has become especially menacing in recent years. You may not walk away from this book a convinced anti-fascist, but at least you will understand that anti-fascism is a legitimate political tradition growing out of a century of global struggle. What is anti-fascism? Before analyzing anti-fascism, we must first briefly examine fascism. More than perhaps any other mode of politics, fascism is notoriously difficult to pin down. The challenge of defining fascism stems from the fact that it began as a charismatic movement united by an experience of faith in direct opposition to rationality and the standard constraints of ideological precision. Mussolini explained that his movement did not feel tied to any particular doctrinal form. Our myth is the nation, he asserted, and to this myth, to this grandeur, we subordinate all the rest. As historian Robert Paxton argued, fascists reject any universal value other than the success of chosen peoples in a Darwinian struggle for primacy. Even the party platforms that fascists put forward between the world wars were usually twisted or jettisoned entirely when the exigencies of the pursuit of power made those interwar fascists uneasy bedfellows with traditional conservatives. Left fascist rhetoric about defending the working class against the capitalist elite was often among the first of their values to be discarded. Post-war, after World War II, fascists have experimented with an even more dizzying array of positions by freely pilfering from Maoism, anarchism, Trotskyism, and other left-wing ideologies, and cloaking themselves in respectable electoral guises on the models of France's Front National and other parties. I agree with Angelo Tasca's argument that, to understand fascism, we must write its history. Yet, since that history will not be written here, a definition will have to suffice. Paxton defines fascism as a form of political behavior marked by obsessive preoccupation with community decline, humiliation, or victimhood, and by compensatory cults of unity, energy, and purity, in which a mass-based party of committed nationalist militants, working in uneasy but effective collaboration with traditional elites, abandons democratic liberties and pursues with redemptive violence and without ethical or legal restraints goals of internal cleansing and external expansion. When compared to the challenges of defining fascism, getting a handle on anti-fascism may seem like an easy task at first glance. After all, literally, it is simply opposition to fascism. Some historians have used this literal minimalist definition to describe as anti-fascist a wide variety of historical actors, including liberals, conservatives, and others, who combated fascist regimes prior to 1945. Yet the reduction of the term to a mere negation obscures an understanding of anti-fascism as a method of politics, a locus of individual and group self-identification, and a transnational movement that adapted pre-existing socialist, anarchist, and communist currents to a sudden need to react to the fascist menace. This political interpretation transcends the flattening dynamics of reducing anti-fascism to the simple negation of fascism by highlighting the strategic, cultural, and ideological foundation from which socialists of all stripes have fought back. Yet even within the left, debates have raged between many socialist and communist parties, anti-racist NGOs, and others who have advocated a legalistic pursuit of anti-racist or anti-fascist legislation, and those who have defended a confrontational, direct action strategy of disrupting fascist organizing. These two perspectives have not always been mutually exclusive, and some anti-fascists have turned to the latter opposition after the failure of the former. But in general, this strategic debate has divided leftist interpretations of anti-fascism. This book explores the origins and evolution of a broad anti-fascist current that exists at the intersection of pan-socialist politics and direct action strategy. This tendency is often called radical anti-fascism in France, autonomous anti-fascism in Germany, and militant anti-fascism in the United States, the UK, and Italy, among today's Antifa, the shorthand for anti-fascist in many languages. At the heart of the anti-fascist outlook is a rejection of the classical liberal phrase incorrectly ascribed to Voltaire that, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it."